Hello, everybody. I can't believe I'm saying these words again. Welcome back to The Daily.
You start every show like that. What's the big deal? I mean,
Welcome back to the Daily Thread. It's been a while. We're finally in the same room.
it's been a long time. You built a beautiful studio here.
Thank you.
You invited me in, and
You're always invited. You don't need an invite. You're always invited.
Well, listen, to come here and have the opportunity to live on your coattails.
Oh, stop it. I'm living on your coattails.
Well, I didn't want to say that. But
Well, we haven't done an episode in quite a while. A lot has happened in the world
a few
since.
months.
So many people stop me and they say, love meaningful people, but what happened to the Daily Thread? Why aren't
Same
you
thing.
recording more? So I said,
I
my
have the
father
same
became a
experience.
snowbird and he goes to Florida half the year.
That's not exactly accurate. So I want you to know we were in. It's not a secret. We were in Orlando on Pesach, and we were shopping in, I don't know, one of those stores, one of those supermarkets. And we got stopped by two guys. Asked me the same question.
Really?
What happened to the Daily Thread? How come you're not on anymore?
So you know what happened? Nothing. Here we are.
One guy was from Dallas. I don't even remember his name. And the other guy was from Cleveland.
Really?
Because, when you go to a place like Orlando on Pesach, any place you go for Pesach, hotel like where you went, or where you go to, I know someone that went to Malaga, Spain, and other people went to Colombia, and other people we know went to Portugal. You meet people from all over the world.
For sure.
And then Yontif ends, and everybody goes back into the little corner.
Literally.
And that's the end. That's the end of that. But listen, it just goes to show you the power of social media. We didn't do a show for months because whatever the reason is, Florida, the ability to communicate.
I'll be honest.
The time.
The content matter of the last 8 months, since October 7th, has been very hard to break down. It's really maddening to talk about, because what are we preaching to the choir? There's no chedushim, right? We're living in a world where we're hated because we're Jewish, and it's just getting scarier and scarier and scarier.
First of all, I think it's a very unique time in terms of anti-Semitism, and I think it's disturbing. No question about it. I don't disagree, but also I think in the long run, it's a healthy thing happened in terms of anti-Semitism, because the anti-Semites were behind the scenes. They were operating, whether it was on the college campuses or whether in Gaza or in Ramallah. They were operating behind the scenes and claiming that they had a political problem with the state of Israel, living on and so-called occupying Arab lands. But now the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
Toothpaste comes out of. Sometimes you want to brush your teeth and too much toothpaste comes out. Good luck trying to get the toothpaste back in.
They should make those. They should.
It's not going back in.
Someone should invent that. No,
Putting toothpaste back.
that'd be wonderful.
Toothpaste is probably pretty inexpensive. I don't think you're gonna waste your time putting toothpaste back. But that's anti-Semitism today.
I think another thing that happened that was, again, I'm not in Israel, so I can't talk this, but what's going on in the world where Biden withheld arms from the Israelis. I've spoken to some Israelis and they said, you know what? Good. We don't need your arms. We will win this war with or without you. You don't want to join us, be on the wrong side of history, no problem. We don't need you, America. Israel has this covered.
Well, I have several theories about that I've been thinking about. Number one is, I think you're absolutely right. He said he's withholding arms. I don't think he's withholding arms.
Is that like a speculation, or are you?
I have a sense.
Is that based on anything?
Well, yeah, it's based on the fact that he's in the middle of an election campaign and he's falling more and more behind every time there's a new poll. And there's certain states, specifically like Michigan and Minnesota, which have a large Muslim population. A lot of Somalians live in Minnesota. That's where Ilhan Omar is the congresswoman from. And then you have Michigan, where Rashida Tlaib is the congresswoman from there. And they have a large Arab Muslim population. And Joe Biden has to win Minnesota and Michigan. Otherwise,
What is he? 82 years old?
He's 81. He's 81.
What is he running again for?
Well, listen,
who needs this?
Donald Trump is going to be 78 in June.
Yeah,
But there's different types of things that you could, in terms of competency, and in terms of his ability to think and to be able to function. You see a big difference between Trump and Biden.
Here's my concern. We're getting towards the election in November, and this might be one of the most pivotal and crucial elections in the history of the world.
Yeah,
it really might be. And it's a crazy thing to think about because the world has been through a lot. There's World War I, there's World War II. But right now, the world is sort of on the cusp of a World War III. What's going on in Ukraine and Russia, what's going on with Israel, and what's going on our college campuses, and what's going on in China. The world is in shambles. If Donald Trump gets elected, how is there not going to be a civil war?
I don't see why there should be a civil war if Donald Trump gets elected.
Do you see what's going on in college campuses today? And there has not been.
It's Monday today. Let's say you get to post this by Wednesday. Let's say today. The big story today was that Duke University in Georgia, Atlanta, I think it is, had a graduation, and
Duke University is not in Georgia.
Duke's not in Georgia.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay, we could move it to North Carolina for the purposes of this broadcast.
You're usually spot on with these things. A few months of not doing a show, we got you a little less sharp.
Listen, that's spring training. It's spring training for me.
Pitchers and catchers?
It's spring training for me. The pitchers and catchers are reporting today. But Duke is in North Carolina. Jerry Seinfeld was the keynote.
I saw the video.
And they had at least 1,000 people there. And about 24 protested. Now, why 24 people do something when there's 1,000 people in the audience? Does that make news? Why Donald Trump had 100,000 people at a rally in New Jersey? Were they all pro-Trump? And I know somebody that's graduating this week from Columbia University from the law school. Each school has a different graduation because they can't have a massive graduation because they're afraid of the security and the safety. And the person who's graduating, a young man that you know, and we know his parents, his father told me today that he's going to the graduation, but it's at a secret location, and no one's allowed to know where it is.
Do you know where it is?
I know it's.
Yeah, I can't say where it is. It's a secret location.
By the time this is, by the time this is broadcast, it's over. If anyone listening to this wants to go to look for the Columbia University Law School graduation, go ahead.
They should have done it in Lakewood in the Crown Ballroom or something. They should have done it on one of these.
Columbia University.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, one of the biggest changes probably in your lifetime has been that it used to be the most prestigious thing in the world for a parent to say, my kid goes to Harvard, my kid went to Columbia, my kid went to these Penn. Nowadays, you get a shit resume and it says Harvard on it. No, thank you.
That's that certainly, if you got arrested for disturbing the peace or trespassing, if you didn't belong on campus.
I don't want to say that full stop because there are from people who are in Harvard, and I'm sure they're great people. But for a parent now, if your kid is going to school, I happen to think Turo is probably going to be the number one option.
And Yeshiva University.
University.
I spoke to the admissions people.
Are they busy?
And they are overwhelmed with people that want to go there. And they
probably have to build another campus.
They want to go because, it's nice to go to University of Pennsylvania or to Harvard or Yale or Columbia. But like you said, it doesn't do a credit to your resume if you went to Columbia because they look at you with a funny kind of look. They don't know what you've been involved in.
You have some news out of Boynton.
Yes,
where you reside a lot of times.
Part of the time.
Tell us a little bit. Tell us about this story, which I don't know if we're breaking it on the news. I don't know if a news station picked this up yet. But let's the Daily Thread could break the story.
There are these WhatsApp groups from the different communities in Boynton Beach. There's probably 24 different types of communities there, and people come and go. They go back home. They give up. They sell their houses. And someone reported on one of the WhatsApp groups that an older couple moved out, went back to wherever they came from.
A Jewish older couple?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they had a mezuzah on the front door. And the new couple bought it. They wanted to check the mezuzah. And they opened up the mezuzah. And inside the mezuzah wasn't a klaf, wasn't the Kriya Shema, it was in a conventional mezuzah. There was a Palestinian flag folded up, a pro-Hamas type of sentiment on the on the flag, folded up into the mezuzah.
They replaced the cloth, or they wrote on the cloth.
Oh, I don't know. I don't.
You have pictures of this?
Yeah, we do have pictures of it.
We're gonna put the pictures on the screen for people to
Send you
see.
a picture.
This is unbelievable.
Well, you know what? I was thinking it's one thing to scream free Palestine. It's another thing to take time
To desecrate,
take
yeah.
a mezuzah off a doorpost and take out the cloth and cut down a Palestinian flag to the right size and fold it the right way and put it back in the cloth and get it back up. It's a big job. You really have to be a true believer to do something like that.
That's concerning, because especially these are gated communities.
See, but workers could get in there all the time.
So is that who you're assuming it is?
Plumbers, electric. There's. I don't know if you saw the video. There was a safe stolen for Rockaway from a
Saw
yeshiva
this, yeah.
with a Sefer Torah inside.
Someone stole a Sefer Torah, yeah.
Right, and there's a reward. I think I just saw this morning. There's a reward being posted of $7,500.
Yeah.
But the people from the security patrol in Far Rockaway told me that they wasn't broken in. The person had the key or the combination to get into the building and knew how to get into the room where the Sefer Torah was. So it was what you call
Inside job.
An inside job. Now, either the person works there in the yeshiva, or someone that works there in the yeshiva gave someone else the information. Now, I was thinking to myself, did the guy need the Sefer Torah or did he need the safe?
Yeah.
What's he going to do?
And what's he going to do with the Sefer Torah? Yeah.
I don't know.
He's trying to sell it to somebody.
Who are you going to sell a Sefer Torah to? You can sell it for $1,000. It's a Sefer Torah, a 30, 40,
Well, the first thing I would do is if I was them is, first of all, how is he getting the safe open? Second of all,
I guess he had the. So someone said to me this morning, "Oh, maybe he thinks the money's in the safe, so he took the safe."
also, I would probably look at the local pawn shops, because that's these low-level criminals.
Sefer Torah.
They try to just make money and pawn things off. I don't know.
I don't know if they could sell it, but the guy should be caught. So it has to be, like you said, an inside job. Someone had to give him the information. If he didn't work there and have the combination to the door and was able to get in. So I don't know what's taking so long. It's about a week-old story already.
So that's very it's troubling that a Sefer Torah was stolen.
Listen, it's very troubling. We're recording this on
May 13th.
On May 13th, which in Israel is Yom HaZikaron. And there's a lot of pictures coming out of Israel from Har Herzl, where there are thousands of soldiers buried. Since the founding of the State of Israel in 1948, 25,000 people have given their lives in defense of the State of Israel. And almost like magically tonight, which already is tonight, 10 o'clock.
Now it's Yom
10
HaTzmaut.
p.m. Israel becomes Yom HaTzmaut, and the country switches from mourning and sadness and remembrance to partying and celebrating and dancing almost seamlessly. It's like one of the magical things about Klal Yisrael.
Yeah.
But how the people of Israel are able to function, and that's the resilience that makes it possible for people to be able to, for a nation to survive. At this time of year, when they come out with the population numbers, there's 7.1 million Jews living in the State of Israel. Altogether 9 million people, almost 2 million Arabs and other people of other religions. And there's 6 million Jews living in the United States of America, and another couple of million sprinkled around the rest of the world. So you're talking about a total of maybe 15 million people around the world. And everything, you can't put on the news on TV without seeing the words anti-Israel.
Recently.
Well, how do you feel? You're a young man, okay?
I was on a call recently with Malcolm Hoenlein, who you know very well.
He's Conference of Presidents.
Yeah, and he's a huge activist for the Jewish people. And there was a discussion like, how bad is it actually? Are we fear mongering? Because there's where people are saying, listen, it's very scary to walk in the city, wear your yarmulke, this and that. And he said, like, it's as bad as it's ever been right now. This is not, and he's been around a long time.
Yeah.
This is not simple, oh, it's a fad, it's gonna pass. Things are happening that are very reminiscent of Europe in 1940. And those are things that we can't ignore. And we have to use our voice. From Jews, we need to use our voice.
I'm sure the reason you were on that phone call is because you have to use these microphones and other people that have the access, and has been proven to me and to you and to everybody that's familiar with you, every place you go, you have tremendous influence, and it's very vital that it be that the microphones be used to make these points. Now, the question is, what could be done about it? Okay, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the election in November, but I know that Donald Trump has a plan to deport millions of people that were let into the country over the last 3.5 years. That's like 10 million people, they say, have been let in. And the other thing is, we were talking about last night the fact that Anthony Blinken is in the Middle East, and Israel's fighting a war for survival, and they're only concerned about the humanitarian conditions of the civilians living in Gaza. The question is, what about the 100,000 people who died in the United States from fentanyl poisoning? They're also just regular civilians that happen to.
Well, that's not his job.
No, but it's the administration's job.
Anthony Blinken specifically is focused on foreign affairs.
But he's part of the Biden administration, and their job is to protect the people of the United States and keep us safe. I'm not saying you shouldn't be concerned about people shouldn't be starving in Gaza. You have United Nations. You have other countries of the world. You have Egypt and Jordan and Saudi
Why
Arabia.
can't Egypt foot the bill here? Like, what? Like, explain to me why.
They want to squeeze. They want to squeeze Israel. They want to squeeze Israel. That's the.
You see the fence that's on the border of Gaza and Egypt in Rafah, like the crossing. You see that fence?
They rebuilt it. They reinforced it.
You see what they have there, and you see what we have between State Road and Gaza.
Yeah.
What is that? What's up with that? You want to know where the apartheid is? How about look more south? Like, that's where it is.
We were in Israel Hanukkah time, and we were down in southern Israel in Kfar Aza, and you look between the houses and you see the Gaza border, and it's very flimsy. There's no great wall there.
It's like a chain link fence.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. There was a big intelligence failure on October 7th.
Listen, I mean, bringing it back here to America, we could probably talk for hours about, what happened October 7th and the fallout. As it pertains to from Jews here in America right now, I think a very, very dangerous mindset to have is, what am I going to do? Who am I? One thing for sure, you daven, you need to do that. It's just that's Aleph, that's A1. But two, don't be a Jew with weak knees. Don't stop going to the city. Don't stop wearing your yarmulke. Don't stop living proud as a Jew publicly. We need, as Jews, as Orthodox Jews, we need to be represented. Not that the Jewish, not that there's a difference between Jews from Jews, but us as an Orthodox community who are more targeted than any other type of Jew for hate crimes, we need to stand up and be heard. That means by politicians. One person who we raked on a lot on this very podcast a long time ago was John Fetterman. John Fetterman has become one of the biggest friends of the Jewish people and the Israeli people. So we want to really just give him a big thank you and a shout out to what he's doing. But as from Jews, I don't care organizationally, individually, we need to hold our elected officials accountable. Bill de Blasio was not good for the From Jews. We should not be rubbing elbows with him and saying, "Oh, he's our buddy." That's simple as that. Chuck Schumer is not a friend of the From Jews.
Chuck Schumer's a big problem.
He's not a friend of the Jews. He's not a Shomer Yisrael. And the fact that we gave him the ability to get up by that rally months ago in Washington and to even address us, what are we doing? What are we doing? So as From Jews, we need to take the mantle here and say, the gig is up. There's no more pretending that you're on our side for votes. And there's no more I'm a Shomer Yisrael. You're either with us or you're against us.
That's our opinion, but you're gonna if you wanted to organize something of that nature with Jewish leaders, so to speak, major Jewish organizations, you have a very hard time.
Then forget the Jewish organizations.
You have a very hard time getting people to agree about it.
Forget the Jewish organizations. I mean, I don't tell you, like, we don't have. This is not a matter of politics. This is a matter of life and death. This is the matter of us as Jewish people being able to live freely, for our kids to be able to go to colleges, to be able to walk in the city. I can't go to the city and walk with my wife and go to dinner without being concerned, which has happened. You know, I went to Penn Station to do a piece for a Pesach issue. You know how many times people are screaming at me, "Free Palestine"?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Amazing. It's an
I was in
amazing
Penn
thing.
Station. I was in a public space. Do you know how many people stopped and said something to that person? Do you see that video that came out of Englewood, New Jersey, where you have Jewish people in a ShopRite in Englewood, and the guy was yelling, "You Jewish people are the enemy of mankind," and you have at the same time the person is bagging his groceries, and there's tens of people are walking by, and not one person said a thing to them. You know who's complicit? It's all those people that are being quiet. As Elie Wiesel said, silence always helps the oppressor, not the one being oppressed.
Right.
Never helps the victim. All those people staying silent. You see something happen. You see a Jew that's being called out on a train. You see a Jew that's being lambasted on the bus or walking in the street. You want to stay quiet. You are no different than those Germans in 1940 that just didn't say a word.
Yeah, well, listen, you're right on target. You should keep up with that type of energy and keep bringing that kind of subject matter and that subject to the attention of the community, because
it's really honestly, it's frustrating.
People are listening, and listen, this is the United States of America, and there's going to be an election coming up in 6 months, and that's how the public is able to express themselves. You know, it's frustrating otherwise. You know, in a place like England or in Israel, where you have a parliament, then the guy loses his majority, he could be out of office tomorrow. Here, it's a different type of system. We have to wait until November, and we got to make sure you come out to vote, and you have to have your priorities in proper order.
Something that Malcolm Holnight said is that, and again, I take his word for it. He's a serious guy. He doesn't just say things.
Right.
Joe Biden gets a report every single morning. How many people on social media sending in letters, emails are pro his opinion, and how many people are against his opinion? And that's a report that he gets. It's a report that he gets every single morning.
Well, I'll tell you, this week, again, I don't know when you're posting this, but this week on the 15th, on Wednesday, there's going to be a NORPAC trip to Israel. 1,500 people.
To Israel, to Washington.
I mean, to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
I'm into Washington. 1,500 people are taking the day off from work, getting into buses at 6 a.m. Okay, we did it a few times. You have a million on the bus.
In your young age.
You know, we did it a few years ago last, but we did it
You were
several
young.
times. And you go in, you have a meeting in a theater, and you have people speaking to the group, and then you break up into little groups, and you go meet in different congressional offices. And they told us a long time ago that when you make a phone call to a politician, they count it as representing 10 people. Okay, you made a phone call. If you write a letter to a politician, they count it as 100 people, statistically. If you show up in person and spend a day going door to door, office to office, they count each person as representing 10,000 people.
Wow.
So when 1,500 people get on buses in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania area,
1.5 million people.
you know, you're talking about from the perspective of an elected official, they see it as a group of people.
Is that the right math? Did I get that math right?
I don't know. I think it's more than that.
I said 1.5 million.
Yeah. So
Wait, you said it's 10,000 times 1,500.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. 15 million. My bad.
So
Missed a couple zeros.
Yeah. So I suspected it was 15 million.
You didn't interrupt me.
You're the one with the calculator there. So, but I think that
I agree with you.
It's very meaningful, and you know, we are going to Israel. Maybe you'll be hearing from us from Israel.
That'd be nice.
We're going on Wednesday. That's why we can't go to Washington. Otherwise, you probably would have gone to Washington. It's a very long day. You leave at 6 a.m. Like I said, you don't get back till close to midnight. It's a very, very long day.
It's hard to compete because you have these ceasefire now crazies sitting down in Congress and just singing their songs, and it's just like, how do you compete with that? You know, like the people who are, you just mentioned, there are 24 people that walked out of a Duke University graduation, Jerry Seinfeld. Why is it on the news? Because the crazier and the louder the people are, the more the news is going to cover them, because the news is trying to...
That just encourages them. That just encourages them to do it more and more. Now the media, of course, is very much in favor of this type of thing, because The media is doing
Sells
their
ads.
job.
It sells
They're
advertising.
doing their job. They need viewers and listeners. And this is how this is the things they talk about. These are the pictures that they show that gets them the attention that they need. So we're like chasing our own tails.
Yeah. I think, as something that we could take away from this episode, anyone who's listening, is like, is everyone has as local elected officials. Whether it's a councilman, whether it's assemblyman, whether it's I don't care, someone on your school board, for God's sake, you have local elected officials. You need to keep them honest. You need to make sure they know what you think, and you need to show up. We need to show up. We need to show up for things. Our yarmulkes with our tzitzis, we need to show them that the frum Jews are represented, and that we're not just gonna say, I don't know.
I know you live in Rockland County. We're in the 5 towns, Nassau County here, and I want you to know that even they're watching even the school board election. They're watching. We have an election in June for the mayor of the village of Lawrence, and we had an election a year or two ago where Ari Brown was elected as a state assemblyman.
Yeah,
the Republicans in the state assembly in New York are a small minority. I think they're outnumbered 2-1. But the Democratic leadership of the state of New York cut the allocation to the Lawrence School District by several $1 million because they voted in a Republican. They wanted to send a message. You want to vote in Republicans into office? Even though it doesn't mean anything, we're cutting several $1 million of education allocations to your school district, which is the Lawrence School District.
You know what I'd love to see on that point? I would love to see our yeshivas in our communities become fully independent from needing government funds. We have a lot of askanim, and I feel like we can handle it.
There's hundreds of billions of dollars flying out there, especially in this post-COVID era and this post-PPP era. I mean, someone said to me,
but nothing's free. You take that money, nothing's free.
Yeshivas are doing extensions and buildings every place you turn.
Nothing is free.
They're looking for votes. They're looking for votes, and tremendous amount of cheating going on in elections. And I don't want to get into that because that's another endless conversation.
Yeah, that's all the time we have for today. But thank you so much for joining us back here on the Daily Thread. The takeaway for today is if you are on social media, like, make your voice be heard. Comment on posts. John Fetterman posts something pro-Israel, thank him. AOC posts something, don't thank her. Make your voice be heard. You have a voice. Make yourself be heard.
Call your congressman. If you can't go down to Washington with your group on this week or whenever there's a group going to visit, you see people walking the halls of Washington, of D.C. all the time. You have a congressman, you have senators. You go to their offices, call them up, send them a letter, send them an email. They recognize these things. Like you said, Joe Biden gets a report on how people are feeling because it's a big country, a lot of people here.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening. Appreciate it.
Great to be back.
And hope to see you again soon.
Yes, Mir Hashem.